Hello, everyone, and happy Friday night. Thanks for joining us here on the Franchising 360 show. I am Tim Parmeter, and as always, with me is Danielle Wright. Danielle, how are you?
Hi. You struggled with that one. Were you expecting someone else?
This is, forgot who was joining me tonight.
Awesome.
Yes, it's usually a good idea not to get your co-host name wrong. It's even worse to get your wife's name wrong, and this would have been...
Especially when your co-host's last name is Wright, it's really wrong to not know Right.
So we are going to talk about, all things franchising here on the Franchising 360 show.
What about franchising?
So we have, there's a lot of fear or things that can cause fear in this process of looking at franchises.
Or becoming a franchise, or be a franchise, or
once you are a franchise owner,
things,
right?
Yes.
So, and there are, I think maybe a few weeks back, we talked about one of the ones that comes up a lot in oh my gosh, labor and all the fear around
hiring people, employing people, managing people, all the scary things.
Right. When it's really probably...
Because the word that's scary is people.
people are a little scary. So the world would be great if there just weren't, people. I mean, other than you. And of course, everyone listening and watching tonight.
Okay. So,
but one of the other things that comes up a lot, and you've been on the franchisor side for 15 plus years and with me at FranCoach for over 10, helping people find franchises to own. Oh my gosh, we're going to look at franchise X. Geez, Danielle, there's a lot of competition with that. That word competition comes up a ton and can really be scary.
Yeah, because it's a big word. It's a lot of syllables.
Big word, lots of syllables. And so what I thought we could do is let's talk through, is it really all that scary? And what are some ways we can kind of work through that?
And I guess that's, for me, that I probably don't have the right answer, right? Because it should be scary. It's a little scary. Something's already there. You probably already know about it. So is there room for more of it or something different of it? And so competition is scary. And if you didn't think that it was, then maybe franchising is not the right thing for you.
Right. And it's okay if it is too scary and the reason not to become a franchise owner, because I don't care what business there is, there's always going to be competition out there.
Right. If it's good.
I mean, I start a brand new business. I have no customers and the product sucks. So there's probably not going to be competition.
Right. But I think if one can survive, many can survive. Right. So I think from a franchisor's perspective, something that's good can always be replicated, hence the franchising model. And then someone can do it a little different. Again, franchising model. Right. So think about, we talk about all the time, Tim's Sub Shop, but there's Jersey Mike's, there's Firehouse Subs. All of them do what? Sandwiches.
Yes. Not as good as Tim's Sandwich Shop, but clearly. But I think that's one of the things. There are some franchises or some industries or niches where maybe the franchise is a clear differentiator. Right. And those are important things to understand, but sometimes you just show up because there's enough market share for it.
Well, and I think what triggered for me right there is competition. We just talk food. People are more apt to be okay that there's multiple food options offering the same thing. I mean, there's a story that I have dating back to me starting in franchising. My boss gave me the job to look through FDDs.
That's fun.
Yeah. Let me tell you how tedious that project was.
Let's stick it to the new girl.
And so, yes, very much so. But I had to pull every franchise disclosure document where the primary food offering was a burger. So mind you, we're not just talking QSR, like the fast food I'm driving my car through and picking it up and going. We're talking fast casual. For those that don't know what fast casual is I go in, order, they make it, and I go sit down. Or, full service, I'm sitting, there's wait staff, all of those things. So I pulled about 45 different franchise disclosure documents. So the clear thing is it was burger. There are 45 burgers. I pulled, and this was 15 years ago. Can you imagine what it is today?
Yeah.
But I think we as consumers are more open to there being competition from a food perspective because each of us are different. I think where a lot of people, when they've looked at franchises I've worked with, they get concerned when it's something that is not food. Maybe it's fitness, maybe it's home service. Aren't there already a lot of painters? Yeah. And there still will be more and more and more. So I think there's a lot of details that we can talk to on a show about competition. We could probably be here for 2 hours.
Yes, don't worry, we won't. But there is a lot, and whether you need a differentiator or not, how to understand the market share, like how much do you actually need, and some of the things that the franchisor can kind of help with. So those are some of the things I want to make sure we get a chance to talk about here on the Franchising 360 show. We're going to talk about that scary competition, ways to understand if it's really all that scary or not. All of that and more here on the Franchising 360 show. We are back on the Franchising 360 show, and we are talking about competition and how that can be a scary word when you're thinking about becoming a franchise owner.
Or questionable word, yes.
There are a lot of different ways to work through this, and I know when our clients, whatever franchise they're looking at some point they're going to say, oh, geez, there's a lot of competition.
What do you typically say when they do that?
Suck it up.
Okay.
No, like, yes, we.
So if you're looking for that support here,
we're really touchy feely at FranCoach, but yes, we have to, I don't know, we should be scared of it, but we need to be aware of it.
Right.
And I think one of the things that comes up when people look at franchisors is really, there's two things. There's one, understanding the market share, but understanding the franchisor, part of their plan we talk about over and over, is they've kind of figured this out. And the mapping software franchises use, I think sometimes is creepy, how much information that they have. Talk a little bit about some of those things that you've seen in the brands you've been with, where they're able to pull out some of that data.
Well, and I think that's part of becoming a franchisor, right? For those that are watching that hey, I want to turn my business into a franchise. Right. It's a great industry that's packed with a lot of information, and consumers, we tend to put a lot of our information out there, hence a security breach every other week on your emails. So there's a lot of data we can buy, but from the franchise perspective, we create these modeling tools through mapping software. Some have them, some don't. The mapping software is very expensive, but when you go to look at a franchise, they're going to know who your core target is, who the market you're going after. They create territories, or where the middle of X and Y, or happy and healthy, as we like to say. They've done the research, or they're going to do it with you at the time. And then it's typically set around economics. How much money is the household bringing in, or how much is the house value, or how many households do I have? Depending upon the vertical, they're going to look at different metrics. A lot of restaurants look at drive times. How far away is someone willing to come for this type of food offering? So there's a lot of data and metrics that go into what makes an ideal location, which then also weighs into the competition level. They're going to know what competition really impacts you, or how much is too much in an area. And so I go back to home service brands. They typically give you zip codes. So how many houses, how much population. More population doesn't mean more business. Right. I think this kind of goes toe to toe with a lot of the stuff we've talked about. It's like, I can have 500,000 people in population in my territory, but I could be driving from one end to the other and it takes me an hour. That's not efficient. Right. So it doesn't matter where the address is of the competition in home service, because generally it's a truck. So you are going to your customer. But we generally talk, I think it was one thing that what you've taken since we've met, you probably need about 1% to 2% of whatever's in your market to have a successful business.
That's the thing that's crazy, right? Is when you look at, I don't care what business is, we had Peter Ross, the CEO of Senior Helpers, on a couple of weeks back, and that's an industry where they're going to carve out a territory that may have 20 to 30,000 seniors, right? And you're like, oh my gosh,
people, not homes.
Seniors, literally, and again, they can even go as crazy as
you.
Wait, what? Let me turn my hearing aid up. So 65 to 75, all of those things. But you've got 20,000 plus seniors.
How many do you need?
That's a fantastic question. Less than 50 usually equals over $1 million in revenue.
Okay.
Now that's top line, not bottom line, but still, you're talking about 0.2% of everyone out there, right? Even if it's 1%, you could have 99 other businesses getting their 1% of the pie.
So there's plenty to share.
Correct.
Right. So in some brands, I've 75,000 people in population that also have a household income of 150,000 or greater. Right. And you may think, oh, we don't have that here. The Reality is you do, and it's closer to you than you think.
Yeah.
And if I need 400 people out of that 75,000 that also match the income,
Right.
I think I'm good. And I'm thinking if there's 5 other businesses that do the same thing, that's all right.
And in some ways it can help you. It's like where you see the clusters of, I know back in the day, there was a stretch where Wendy's just used to kind of like follow McDonald's around.
Hello, CVS, Walgreens, and they're not franchises.
Correct. Or all the car dealerships, where are they? They're all right next to each other.
Walmart, Target.
Again, there's a times where our clients,
you don't have to, it's like what? Think smart, don't work hard. Like if they've already gone there, they've already done the due diligence, then you should just kind of be in that same area.
Yeah, I think there are times our clients have had the comment talking to a franchise, like worried about the competition, and the franchise is almost like not that they're completely blowing it off, but they know the metrics of there's this many people or households or whatever. They know how many it's going to take for you to have a chance to succeed.
And on the other side, like it proves that the market works. So if they're not there, they want to be there. And to when we started this, sometimes there is too much, right? Like people want choices, but they don't want to be overwhelmed with choices. So maybe you go a block the other direction, or maybe you look at a different market. But I was with a fun junk removal brand, and sometimes it's okay being the third and fourth person in, because guess what? The thing we haven't talked about is the customer experience. So maybe they didn't have a great one.
And maybe we should talk about that customer experience right after this commercial break here on the Franchising 360 show. Back with more about competition next. Hey everyone, thanks for coming back here on the Franchising 360 show, talking tonight about competition, how to understand all of that as you're looking through franchises. And we left off talking a little bit about the customer experience. As a business owner, usually a good idea to at least pretend to give a dang about our customers, right? And so talk a little bit about kind of where you were going with that in the space of competition.
The guest experience?
Yes.
I think on break, we were talking about like various people that we've worked with and experiences that we have had as consumers. But I was with a little known brand that's in a removal business, and it was very much the same thing. There's so many of them here. Yeah. But they don't have the technology and the accessibility to book it from an online perspective, because how many of us are actually really picking up the phone and calling people? We're not. We're in the day and age, like if I can't book it online, I don't have time to get on the phone and tell you all of the things that I need to have haul away today, not tomorrow. Right. And so technology is important. That's a great guest experience situation. But a lot of the brands are things that you'll find don't have that, and they're not going to get to you when you want them. And that's the demand component of it. So there can be a lot of competition, but they don't have all of the resources like a franchise model does to make sure that you're able to do that quickly.
Just because another business technically provides the same service as you doesn't mean they're actually competition on the same
Correct.
level, same level.
They do the same thing that you do, right? But that doesn't mean that they do it at the level that you provide the service.
Yeah, we had a client looking at a home service brand a few years ago, and they were on the phone with the franchisor, kind of really concerned. Oh my gosh, there's so many.
Yeah.
And the franchise literally had them go online, do a search, right? You know,
you're pretty confident if you're sending them to look at other things for sure.
Insert niche here near me, and they were like, call them. And
anybody watching, do that.
Right,
like it's totally the best.
Pick your thing. And because what happened was they, like, most of them don't answer. Right? Goes to a voicemail. See
you don't get a call back.
If you can leave a voicemail.
Correct.
If anybody calls you back, or it's Bob's landscaping and Bob's answering the phone out there mowing the grass.
Correct.
Right? What is that user experience? Whereas with home service, a lot of times you as the owner, you and your team aren't even answering the phone. That's the call center. So it's an immediate thing.
So from a competition perspective, it can be good, and it cannot be good, right? So there are certain businesses that you don't want to have like 5 of something within that 1 mile radius. So thinking about where you might want to put it from a brick and mortar perspective. But I feel like home service, you could have 1,000 of them in a space and be just fine. And most of the home service stuff, we haven't talked about that, is like reoccurring, right? Like Landscaping, yes, the guy's gonna come mow my lawn in the summer here in Florida every
Right.
week, right? But there are a lot of those businesses, like if I have my house painted, I'm not gonna have my house painted every 6 months.
Right.
So I may have liked the guy, but they didn't do a great job. So if I have to do it again, I may not necessarily call
Right.
that painter.
And even if you loved him, you're not getting your house painted next week, right?
Right.
But it also goes back to
And I
when
may not actually remember them 5 years from now,
you-
right?
you-
Or
you-
they may no longer do painting.
right, exactly. But and then on those project based things, when you also can kind of look and go, well, my average ticket is $5,000 for every time I paint somebody's house. How many houses do I really need to paint over the course of a month?
Right.
Right. I mean, you could kind of be like one a week and almost like you've almost paid the bill, so to speak.
Right.
Let alone if you're doing one a day type of thing. So
And you and I have an affinity for home service for that reason, right? Whether it's like you're saying a project business or a reoccurring home service type of business, I think and that's where the guest or customer experience comes into play. If you're answering their calls, you're taking their questions, you're making sure you're responsive via email, you're using texting, which is the main way people communicate today. If you're not forward on the technology of your business, then I can't really call you competition.
Right.
Like when I'd mentioned CVS and Walgreens, a lot of the same products are in the same stores. It's just what guest experience do you want? I also like to say Walmart and Target.
right.
And I will just leave that nugget right there.
So no, without question. And I think the other piece of that is understanding and some of the things like competition almost rolls into marketing sometimes, how the franchise is going to help you when somebody does go to Google and insert like, fitness near me or this near me, whatever. The franchise is doing things that quote competition that's, Bob's Landscaping. Bob ain't doing the same thing to get at the top of Google. It may not even have a website.
Correct.
So you may see Bob's truck around some neighborhoods, but it's probably not really the earth-shattering competition.
We always talk
you
about
think
that.
of.
Let's talk about the pets business, right? So there's a lot of them that compete against each other,
Right.
but my pet is like my child. I like my pet. Sorry, kids. I like my pet more than I like my kids most days.
Yeah.
So I'm not
and
going to let
all days.
everything like wash him, bathe him, cut him, like it's walk him. He's
Right.
very particular, that one, but
Yes.
that's something that you're not going to always, hey, you're a franchise, you both do the same thing. But it goes back to the labor part of this whole conversation is that you got the right people to work for you because you're the right brand that does the right things.
Yeah.
So it all really works together.
Yeah. So I want to come back with kind of tie up one more thing with
Okay.
with competition, and hopefully we're starting to make it feel a little less scary. Certainly,
Knowledge is power.
certainly important, but it is all education. And so that's kind of why we're here on the Franchising 360 show. We'll be right back after this with more on competition. Hey, we're back on the Franchising 360 show talking a little bit about competition. And Danielle, we have a question.
Yeah, I'm excited. We were kind of dialoguing it off like on break. Super fun.
Yes. I mean, not that we weren't paying attention to the commercials,
Of course.
right, clearly, but Jason from Tampa wants to
Yes.
know like about the competition, even maybe within a brand.
Yeah, like you have
So
two franchisees in like a market, right?
So you and I own the same franchise.
Yes.
You're
Mine's
over-
way better than yours.
You're over there and I'm over here, but our territories like basically touch. They
Okay.
don't overlap.
right?
Are you and I like duking it out for the same customers?
No, we shouldn't be. That's not very nice.
Well, no, especially because you're going to be way better than me, so I won't do well. But that can be a thing. People think, oh, there's somebody else, like
Already in the market, operating the brand.
Right.
Right.
But in most cases, not everyone, but in most cases, it is a kind of defined territory.
And the reference was kind of back to something that we had talked about across the street from each other, like a Burger King and a McDonald's, and food's a little different. Everyone has their particular tastes. You may love a Big Mac and I may love a Whopper. Doesn't mean I always have to eat McDonald's. Doesn't mean you always have to eat Burger King. But when you're thinking, let's go home service route, right? Where I own this part of the bay, you own the other part of the bay. The positive thing about having other franchise owners, they're not competition, they're brand builders.
Right.
So they're spending their marketing dollars and you can't really control where that lands. If I'm advertising on Google, you're advertising on Google, someone's going to click it in some form or fashion. So the franchise really loves multiple owners being in markets with multiple locations because it just builds brand equity.
Yeah.
But to your question, if I get a lead in your market, I have to send that lead to you, or I have to call you and ask you, hey, can I service this?
And in most cases, there's enough things going on with even just Google knowing where you're Googling from.
Correct.
Right. Or
that
internal
algorithm.
Or internal from the franchise going, oh, that's in this zip code. That needs to be routed to Danielle.
Correct.
That's Tim's. That needs to go to Tim.
Correct.
But it really is like somebody's already, if I'm coming in second, you've already done some legwork.
Right.
And maybe created some brand awareness that's going to roll over into, like, it actually helps me a ton.
I get a lot of people like, hey, I want to own a market so that doesn't happen. What they don't realize is you're kind of cutting your nose off to spite your face, because do you want to be the person pumping that marketing dollar in there?
Right.
Not really. And then you can add additional customers, members, anybody into your business without spending money. Right? Hold on to that. Yeah. I can get a customer and take their money and not have to spend for it. Shocker.
Yeah.
Like, that's the value of a franchise system. That's the value of having competition, even if you feel like a franchise partner in your organization is your competition.
Yeah. And I just, in general, as you said, we started the show going, hey, competition is a scary thing. Should we be scared of it? Like, I always say, like, be
aware of it.
Yes, we
That's
need
my
to
2025 word. Did you know that?
And with the year of the year of awareness. But you should be aware of how to learn about it, right? And to be able to know you're not the first person to go to that franchise and go, geez, I'm really worried about the competition.
And it may sound like they're blowing you off, but it is a common question to be asked. And we will always have an answer for it. Just
a long answer, because there's so much information.
And again, it's okay to be fearful, scared, whatever word we want to, but then that just means there's an absence of information that we need to get you.
Right. And usually it is such a small percentage of the potential customers that you need. And again, a lot of times it's a percent, maybe 2 on the high end. And I think if you're going to be a franchise owner, there's a certain level of competitive nature you have. I'm like, wait, that's all I need is 1%, please. Okay. Right. So, and again,
but that doesn't diminish it either.
It doesn't
right? Like,
diminish
you still
it.
have to do the work. It still needs to be
and
out
understand
there.
all the ways the franchise is going to help, not do for you with that. But, so again, I love that topic, and we've got a couple more things on fear, because there's a lot of things that can cause fear with this. But if you want to learn more just about franchising,
or be aware,
be aware of where to go. Our YouTube channel for Franchising 360, tons of stuff there.
Yeah.
If you want to learn more about becoming a franchise owner, there's also this company called FranCoach, francoach.net, that is available. And like Jason, by the way, you get a nice shiny little mug. But if you would like to ask us a question, please do. Franchising360show.com. There's a little QR code right
somewhere where he's pointing.
There. But what do you say, Danielle? Next Friday we do this all over again?
I'm here.
I mean, a different topic, because that would be a little ridiculous.
Oh, we could go for days on competition.
We could go for days on. But
anybody that's met us knows that we can talk a lot. So
it's kind of a franchising thing.
It is a franchising thing.
Until next Friday, that is Danielle Wright.
That's me.
I am Tim Parmeter, and this has been the Franchising 360 Show.